0809 4440981. The first story, rather saddening news. This day newspaper reports the five dead, five rescued as the boat capsizes in Lagos. Funmi, in this report, about five persons were said to have drowned yesterday, while five others were rescued from a 20-passenger boat capsized midway from Ebute Terminal along the Lagos Ikorodu Expressway. And we see that, I mean, in a 20-passenger boat capacity, with that capacity, really, that means 10. Still be uncounted for in Nigeria. Well, let's not just say in Nigeria, especially in places of transport where other means fail.
It's a very sad story. I'd always wondered with the amount of water that we had in Lagos, why there hasn't been much more investment in that mode of transportation. I'd always wondered, is it a block from the government, or is it just an area of business that people are not interested in?
Yeah.
Because when you look at the quality of investment in it, those boats are scary, and waters are deep. It is not. It is not swimming pool.
No, it's not a pool.
Lagos is surrounded by an ocean, actually, and so it's very sad. And I do know that they provide life jackets, or what we call, they're funny looking. But like I said, the level of investment in it is so low that even the it most of have gone by that mode of transportation before. Most of the time, it's the proprietors of the boat just want that color orange to show you, so that they can check that you have something hanging on your neck.
Here's the question that's bothering me. You know how we transport unions for road transport? Do we have similar unions for water transport?
I doubt it. It's like I said, it's an area of transportation that I cannot explain why there isn't much.
Yeah, regulations,
investments, regulations, whatever else involved with it. Considering that our roads are overstretched, we have adequate water. I mean, why can't we? But it's very sad. We do have a Lagos State Waterways Agency, and I'm glad they were on board. The Lagos State Ambulance Services were on board as well.
Kudos to them.
With respect, and Lasema. So yes, kudos to them. But we can still do better, even as we give kudos.
Yes, very sad. In the Guardian newspaper, for this next story, a District of Columbia DC court in the United States has dismissed the suit that's filed by IPOB, the Indigenous People of Biafra, against the federal government. In this suit that they filed against the federal government and 15 others, seeking millions of dollars in compensation. One of the suits was, included some government, the heads of government agencies. Was included in that suit as well. We have a couple of other people that have been named in support. Plus, they found another one actually seeking for 40%
of
Abacha loot to be paid to them. And then in another suit asking the United States courts to not repatriate funds that they have in their coffers to the federal government.
So I cannot wrap my head around the fact that we're asking a U.S. court to decide a very local dispute, and that was the main reason why the court struck out the case for lack of jurisdiction. I mean, Nigeria is a great country, and yes, they feel that you cannot get justice in international, their crisis. They are which we are bound to respect, whether we actually, but which we are bound to respect by conventions and treaties that we have gone to. But another country, that's the principle of sovereignty. Another country cannot determine a dispute that arose from. In fact, it is just as simple as that. So I try to look for the lawyers.
It was the DC attorneys. They employed foreign lawyers.
Well, because some people just got rich over a
Over
case
the
that
whole,
would
yeah.
never have moved anywhere. Never.
Interesting. Funmi, thank you very much for that. Moving on now to Punch newspaper. Lagos, remember your messages go to WhatsApp 080 incidents where, or the drama really that ensued then, where he jumped out of a police van. According to this report, the police are accusing him of breaking the glass of the vehicle, which with his elbow and causing damage to police property. That he sat on the floor after jumping out of the building, putting his life in danger, and then held a liquid substance in his hand and threatening to poison himself and putting the police in trouble. With all this drama that's surrounding Melaye, also in the same case, asking the judge to extend the bail conditions that were given to him earlier in the magistrate court to extend to this same case, and then the judge was the case out and put him on 5 naira bail. Short of the bill conditions, and give some really specific recommendations to that. Funmi, what are your thoughts?
The drama continues. Unfortunately, the him for attempted to let's not push it to that level. But it is interesting,
yes,
that the police is refusing to let this one go. If there is a reason why they arrested him in the first place, the incident that led to that. Now, respect investigation that led to the arrest in the first place. I'm wondering whether that will continue. Now, so they can't get you in the first one.
They'll use the second one.
Now they have used this one.
Am from Akoka sending the message on Avenue to survive the impending closure to survive the impending closure of the Third Mainland Bridge for 3 days. This is not the type of news they want to hear. Oh, by the way, the closure of the Third Mainland Bridge has been postponed to August. Like Funmi said, he continues. It's interesting to note that Lagos is led by water, by the investments, but the investment does not corroborate. Many waters have really passed through the budget bridge. Okay, this is totally unrelated, but it says Funmi is looking for lawyers who file that case. I'm sure they must. It makes them seem. Minka, thank you very much for that message. Keep yours coming through to WhatsApp 0809 444 981. Also tweet at us with the hashtag freshlypressed981 at smooth981fm. Now, the next one from Thisday newspaper: Transparency International indicts governors, security chiefs in 250 billion naira security votes. They are saying in this report that they just released at a symposium yesterday that was held in I think that was Oyo State. Yes, Oyo State capital yesterday. They stated that among average Nigerians, the word security vote are synonymous with official corruption and abuse of power, saying the governors are hiding behind the security vote to siphon up to 250 billion naira annually and taking advantage of the insecurity situation around the country. Funmi, your thoughts?
I mean, we all know. I mean, when I saw this, I was like, we didn't need a symposium to tell us. We all know corruption equals security votes, but there are some statistics here that the symposium gave out that we should look at very critically, and it makes you wonder. I mean, our structure in Nigeria is just amazing. Now, security, according to Transparency International, security vote spending exceeds 70% of the annual budget of the Nigerian police force, more than the Nigerian Army's annual budget.
Plus that. And
more than the Nigerian Navy and Nigeria Air Force annual budget combined.
All put together.
So we claim we reserve a certain amount of money for security. I mean, the name is security vote. And yet we spend much more money on that, on a vague form, providing a vague form of security, than what we actually give to our security agencies
that are fighting this insurgency.
That are supposed to be in charge of security.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
How ironic is that, though?
It is.
It's
ironic is a term word.
It's like
frankly stupid.
It's like taking food from a child. Pardon me, this analogy is tasteless, but taking food from a child and giving it to a chicken.
Exactly. It's so silly. And Transparency International has applauded the Lagos state government for legalize or legitimizing its own fund. So the Lagos state government has a security trust fund, and which has a board of trustees, so there is more accountability, there is more transparency with relation to that, and it's calling for all other states to sort of use that. But I think we need to go back into the root cause of security votes and why we have it in the first place. We practice a form of security. I mean, I know the bill of state policing is still at the
It's just past the second reading.
It's just past the second reading, and it's not yellow. But we have a form of federal system where security in its entirety for now is at the federal structure, it's at the federal level, and yet we have more state governors without any structure in place for it. Much more than we are allocating to the agencies, the legal agencies that have been. It does not make sense, and that is part of what, when we say that a corrupt system will beat a good man any day, and that is part of it's the structure that creates corruption. So it's not just the fact, even if it's not just the fact that you have a saint there, you have provided a structure that allows a wide form of discretion. And there would always, no matter how well you think you exercise your own discretion, there would always be people that disagree with you. It's giving too much discretion to a man without the structures. There is no structure for you to use that security fund beyond the fact that, okay, like Lagos State government did buy security machinery or apparatus for the federal agency.
At least you can see that this
the
is
cars,
where it's going to.
Everything that they buy for the Nigerian police. But the apparatus, the security apparatus is at the federal level. And you're giving the state governments that have no such apparatus much more than the institutions themselves. That discretion, very few men can resist the urge of that kind of discretion. So you will have corruption. So beyond creating a security trust fund and all of that, I think we need to go back to that security vote and cancel completely. Anyway, it's not revoking laws in it.
And yet most of those governors are not able to. Anyway, we'll take your messages here. Inamdi from Victoria Island says, good morning, guys. I think it's wrong for you to assume that Dino is acting drama. The media is a powerful tool for change. Please promote the urgent deployment of full-scale electronic voting system. But together we can vote in the right set of leaders, especially if you do not like Dino and the corrupt crop of leaders. Inamdi, thank you very much. It's the same message that we're passing across to make sure that you go get your PVCs. We'll have little time. And let's just find the centers around you and get this done. Please put your name to your message. Tosineba, I think, says, regarding the security votes, Transparency International Symposium is quite timely. Now we see that the state police bill is feasible with the amount of money available for taking care of the state agency. Interesting. Emmanuel from Mushi says the IPOB case in the United States is a PR stunt. Even the lawyers who filed the case knew for a certainty that it's out of their jurisdiction. JJ from Mushi says, are we surprised? Security vote is a scam. We all know that. Our lawmakers will not see that to change. Security votes that does not have any plan for billions of naira, just that it is for the governor to spend. I go with Funmi. It is just sly. Keep your messages coming in. The WhatsApp number there is 0809 440 981. Funmi, next, we'll look at the story from Premium Times newspaper. The 2018 World Cup. It says 75 Nigerian football fans have absconded in Russia and did not join the contingents, or rather the people who were stranded earlier that came back. It's about 230 Nigerian football fans were stranded earlier in Russia, where they absconded because they did not join the comeback at the time that as it went due. But the federal government, we know, swooped in. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs decided to take it upon themselves to find these Nigerians and bring them back. They said that out of the 230 Nigerian football fans that were stranded, only 155 boarded the flight. Some of them that did not board the flight blamed the travel agents who canceled the return tickets of the football fans without informing them and leaving them stranded. Do you buy these excuses?
Oh, of course not. Everybody is looking for an out, and sometimes I wonder if, I mean, I know situations are bad in Nigeria, but I'm I mean, you got plenty of people who jump at the chance.
Of course, remember
the visa was probably a bit lax at that time to get because of the World Cup.
Once
just for the World Cup.
That's it.
just for the work. But it goes to show the despondency that we operate right now in Nigeria. It is terrible, and it has gone beyond. I mean, and come to think of it, those stories have died. The Libya stories, the terrible stories we heard about people trying to pass through the Libyan border to get out of Nigeria. I'm sure it's still happening, even though the news has gone out of it. But we even hear of people that you thought were comfortable in Nigeria checking out. I mean, people are selling businesses. I saw an advert recently, and I asked, I mean, you own this building, you own this business, you are selling it to relocate.
I don't know.
It's okay. So it's the economic aspect of it is a huge part yet, but I think it goes beyond that. It goes beyond the fact that to even is practically difficult, and it's not just about being in this, about making enough money to tide you over. Now there's some basic things. I mean, the amount of mortality rates that, forget figures that people give you, people that I know, death during childbirth, either of the mother of the baby or both, it's a lot higher. Those are the kind of things that we're talking about, and it goes back to the objectives, the fundamental state objectives of the government. The government is not providing this country, and it is sad because now it's not just the we now have professionals. That's the sad part. We now have
who make it their business to find ways to get people out of the country as easy as possible.
Leave.
Yeah. And we see that we actually still have the power to change that, and let's keep in mind, get your PVC. Golden News representatives extend TSA probe. Someone representatives yesterday queried the deposits of 4.9 million US dollars and 1.5 billion naira by the Minister of Environment Ibrahim Usman Jibril with Stanbic ICC Bank in defiance of the Treasury's single accounts policy. So an ad hoc committee of the House headed by Abubakar Nuhu Damburan was set up to probe the implementation of the TSA accounts. They summoned the minister to answer questions and explain why such an account was opened in the first place. Funmi, what are your thoughts on this story?
The concluding part of the story says that the man's defense is that there is a letter signed on behalf of the Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, which was presented as the authorization of the non-TSA account. So there are a lot of controversies regarding this government, that the culture of silence over it is getting alarming, and too many. We've still not gotten a response about Mrs. Adeosun's NYC certificate.
Right.
There were other corruption issues before we got a response on the grass cutting scandal and all of that. That citizenry report with regard to the integrity of the person of the president, and that is a serious problem that they have to face. I mean, but now we have an authorization, or they claim that there is an authorization by the chief of staff that allowed them to deposit 1.5 billion naira and $4.9 million in a separate account aside from the TSA.
Do you reckon?
We know that the House of Representatives would investigate, issue a report, but they can't do beyond that. The power of prosecution rests with the prosecution agencies, and it is without a doubt right now our prosecution agencies are more partisan than they should be. And it looks like without a direct go-ahead, they will not look into it. That is the kind of culture that needs to stop. The House of Representatives would expose it in the so-called tussle between the executive and the legislature.
Yeah.
But beyond exposing it, they can't sack him. They cannot prosecute him. So it goes back to the executive to clean its own house. And allowing 1, 2, 3, 4 of this to continue to slide is fast eroding. I know people generally have lost all confidence in the integrity of the administration as a whole. But now, the few that still believe in the integrity of the person of the president, this is fast eroding it. You can't continue to keep quiet over things like this and expect everything to remain the same.
For me, very well said. According to Guru, it says, so why was the governor Otop of Benue crying that he had no security? Did he think security vote was largesse? People should really wake up. Baker says, that story about the Lagos protest with the families of the bereaved. Kudos to the LASG response team. They have not disappointed with their promptness. I agree. We appreciate the integrity of work you do. Val, the Ambode government is coming in coming days with banks in Offa, Kwara State. And we remember that this happened on April 5th. But the Senate president responded to the according to this report, it said he sent it to them yesterday, addressing the issues raised in the invitation. Funmi, what do you make of
to be questioned without the presence of his counsel? I know that a lot of people have raised the sentiment, has invited the IGP several times. He has failed to appear, but two wrongs do not make it right. That was wrong in itself. Refusing to honor the invitation of the police, it was wrong in itself. The siege to his home was wrong in itself, but him also not appearing is wrong in itself. So the police says, come, we want to take a statement. You don't sit down in your house and decide that you want to write from the comfort of your home instead and send it. Go, storm the place with your lawyers. Take whatever statement they want to take. Let them do whatever they want to do. It's difficult to predict Nigeria, but I do not think it is possible that they would detain him. It is. I doubt it very much. So could
that be a fear? Could that be a possible fear?
Well, I don't know, possibly, but even if they do, they can't detain him indefinitely. It would be very silly of them to do so, but even if they attempt to do so, they would not do it. So I think it should not. Already, he's managed to garner a lot of goodwill with the way he escaped the siege and all of that. Riding upon that, he should not give them something, any tiny thing to hold on to. So I personally think you should honor the invitation. Go there with your lawyers. Let them do what they need to do and let them.
But honestly, I mean, speaking from a personal perspective for me, I want to ask you now, looking at this story and the invitations by the police, do you think it might have any links whatsoever to the party defections that has been pervading the air?
The siege to his home did. That's without any doubt. And if you want to do something like that, you use what you have. They had the offer. This is not the first invitation. They had one before that was cancelled, and they said it was okay for him to respond in writing and all of that. And if they wanted to stop something, it's easier to use what was in the books than to quickly cook something up like he suspected that he did for the deputy Senate president. And the story goes further to say that the deputy Senate president is said to have written EFCC, who had the only letter of invitation to him, telling them that the time frame with which you gave me, I mean, you wrote a letter on the morning of 24th and told me to appear at 10 a.m. on 24th was unreasonable. So please give me another time, I would come. I think that's a better way to handle it.
To address that kind of situation. Thank you very much, Funmi. I think that's the last story we can touch on today for lack of time. We have messages here we need to attend to, though. Azu here sent this one on WhatsApp, says, all these monies I'm hearing about now, wow. And these are the folks that came to fight corruption. It's all right. It's well. Tony Ayo from Ayobo says, Governor Autumn, the beautiful crying bride, finally managed his exit from APC. His exit was long expected, so it was not news. Sokoto and Kwara to join to Tony Ayo from Ayobo, and that's one of the reasons why I did not take that story today. Guru says, Funmi, can the police arrest the Senate president? Not Saraki, the Senate president.
The office is a big human being, but in terms of the president, they do not enjoy any form of immunity under our laws. So yes, they can't be arrested.
Pumping says, kudos to who, please? When 5 people died in the boat mishap, we need more investments in our waterways. Thank you very much, Lagos. Coming up next at 8:15, we get to talk about entertainment inside of the Grapevine. Special thanks to Funmi Odude, who single-handedly handled the stories today. Find her up on Twitter at Funmi Odude. Lagos, good morning.
The headlines, the stories,